Joining me now is Jeff Connolly. He's a vice president with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to me a little bit about what are the attributes that veterans possess that is so valuable to an employer?
Pretty typical. One is leadership. Given what they are prepared to do and what they do every day. They're risk takers. In business, that's good, especially in Michigan. We need a little more energy. But one of the unique that as an employer, I think what we found in our work with the veterans is, diversity is very important as a demographics change in our communities. But the vets, given their travels, given where they've been abroad in different countries, they bring a huge asset to companies that are looking to invest in diversity and ensure that they're doing everything that they can. But their experiences as to where they've been have been hugely important to us. Just their insights and their practical view of what different cultures are like and how you need to embed yourselves and embrace and act differently and do things differently. It's been very helpful. So
what advice, I guess, would you give to CEOs and hiring managers to get more veterans in their organization?
Well, I would say the advice and the work that we've been doing on the west side of the state with Talent 2025 is a group of CEOs and businesses that we've come together to collaborate. So one is collaborate with other companies. We all are competing for new employees and good employees, but specific to the veterans, they have such unique needs, and we have such high unemployment in the state. We're woefully inadequate relative to the rest of the nation. We need to collaborate. What we found on the west side is by collaborating with other companies, by collaborating with the universities, Grand Valley and Western, for example. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and we're all trying to do the same thing with great intent, but many times too much redundancy is very confusing to vets. So we're almost drowning them with too much information or too much reach out between so many different parties. Let's align a little more closely to really help engage and attract and get these vets to understand and help them down the path and consult with them as to what they need to do to apply and be ready for the job.
So talk to me a little bit about Talent 2025 and how long it's been in motion, and what are some of the goals, and how have you met them so far?
Well, Talent 2025 is by 2025. I believe it's 2 to 3 years old now. Was formed by some large companies on the west side of the state and large executives through collaboration. Really, what do we need to do specific to the west side, so it's not just Grand Rapids, but it really goes all the way up and down the lakeshore, to improve the economy, to improve the talent. So it's really focused on education. It's focused on economic viability, but there's a separate track that we identified, given the huge need with the veterans, that we have a separate veterans track that I am co-chair of, to work together. Understand, we compete with each other every day, and that's okay. But there are certain things that we should be aligned on to help improve the visibility of the state and the attractiveness of the state. And we're not going to do that, or it will be much more difficult if we don't tap into the fact that we have 700,000 vets here in the state of Michigan with a 30% unemployment rate.
With your work with the veterans, once you finally get them in the door at a company and get them transitioning back into civilian life, what are the things that they have to do, or as a company that you can do to help them succeed and move forward in the organization? Well,
number one is understand their needs. So typically they're coming out of a very disciplined and they may, very technical. So they will likely need to be trained into a new role within your organization. So we at Blue Cross and others, companies, have very heavily intensive training programs to get you ready and qualified for your current job as well as the next job you would want within our organization. The other component, and it's really health related, and it's unique to Blue Cross where we're working with Jason Allen in the state and the governor's office, is there's a lot of diseases that veterans have, PTSD, diabetes, that are unique. And these diseases are going either unnoticed, unaddressed. There's a lot of benefits that these vets may be eligible for that they're not aware of. You got to get that right too, because they may be trying to apply for a job, but they may not be right physically or mentally. So let's also help address getting into a better state from their health standpoint, because once they're healthy and they're feeling better about themselves, they're going to be much more prepared to step into the right job.
Are you finding in the last couple of years that more companies are taking the initiative, not only to say, sure, we've hired veterans whenever they've come and applied, but they're going and taking that extra step to try to recruit them and making that a huge base of their recruitment process?
Yeah, that was one of the first things we identified. So typically, a company, Blue Cross, we'll post our jobs online with a recruiter and with an impression that they will come to us. With vets, we have noticed you really need to reach out to them, and not just as an employer, but for example, working with a university and helping to go to the university and have specific veterans job fairs where you're there, not just as an employer, but with the university and others, to bring them in because they have unique attributes, and they're coming from a very different life in the military, transitioning into the business world. And many times it's not that easy to do. So
what would your advice be for a veteran who's looking to apply for a job, interview for a job, and to sell their skills?
Well, I would, wholly support that they utilize the resources within Governor Snyder's administration. There's a concerted effort with our state, and Jason Allen heads up that area with many others. They have a host of information and staff and experts available to guide people down the path. I think that's the first step. There's a host of benefits that veterans are eligible for. And what we found, federal government's it is a bureaucracy. It's really difficult to kind of, meander your way through that and figure out what you're eligible or not. But that's why the state's there. We can help.
And Michigan is really stepping forward to make sure that people are aware of their options as well. And is that part of it? Is this the awareness?
Well, it's the awareness that's key. But awareness is one. But the other one, they still may be aware, but they may not be willing. They may be hesitant for one reason or another. They may not, mentally, they may not be in the right place. So you need to look at the physical health attributes in conjunction with that. So, and there's benefits there as well, that the federal government is ready and willing and able to help these individuals get physically, get their health in order. I believe that's the first step.
What kinds of opportunities are there available at Blue Cross Blue Shield for vets to find work?
Well, we're a big company, so we have roughly 7,500 employees. We have extensive training. That's one thing that we're very prideful at Blue Cross is we spend a lot of time with our employees training them to be ready for their jobs as well as ready for the next job. So specific to vets, I think we have a couple of hundred vets that work for us today. We'd love to have more, and we're going to make a concerted effort to reach out as other companies will be. But it's a big company, but it's a company that really cares about the people that work there, and we embrace that. It's a family atmosphere. So we believe, for the vets, and the vets I would say that do work for us, my sense is they would echo and say that this is a great place to work.
Jeff Connolly from Blue Cross Blue Shield, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank
we appreciate it.